What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rams Brothers. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother and the other fantastic host of this show, Nick. And Nick, we got the Cowboys coming up. They're coming off of a bye, another team coming off of a bye in Dallas Stadium, in AT&T Stadium. But first and most importantly, how are you, my good brother?
Good. If you really look at the schedule, you'll realize that the schedule makers did not want the Rams to go far this year. I mean, we play the Steelers off a bye at home, sure. And then we go into Dallas off a bye. And then we have to go into Green Bay when it's cold. And then after our bye, we get two divisional games back to back, Seattle at home and then Arizona away. So, I mean, like, whatever. Against all odds, the Rams will find a way. I'm good in retrospect.
Good. That's good. Good. Okay. Besides the schedule, it sounds like you're off to a hot start.
I'm ready, man. It's freaking. It's Dallas week. It's rich history in this franchise and matchup.
Rich history. There's some really important life overall updates that we're going to share. We're obviously going to get into the preview within this game. We'll preview both the offense and defense, all the key players on both sides of the ball. But first and most importantly, we want to make sure that you guys are liking and subscribing. Very much appreciate the support always. We got more good stuff coming your way. And we can't wait to talk through the Dallas Cowboys because it's such an interesting team, Nick. You talked about the rich history, the way that they're in the conference, the way that they're coming off of a bye. The Rams looks like they're kind of putting some pieces together. Some young players are finally developing the way that we would like. Everybody is seemingly healthy for the most part. The foundational pieces are still healthy, but there's it just seems like some misexecution, some little things that they can correct. And hopefully it's all corrected for this weekend because it's an important in-conference game. And they need to get back to 500. So things are at stake. It's not like this is a meaningless football game. But first, I want to go through some of the overall updates because Shawn McVey is now the father to a child. His firstborn baby boy was born yesterday, I believe it was. They delivered a beautiful baby boy, Jordan John McVey is the name of the child. Hopefully he is already signed on to the Rams' front office and will have a career in coaching. If not, he'll be a new receiver for the Rams one day.
Yeah, I don't know. The nepotism is a little strong in these NFL coaches sometimes. Like, I don't think any of the New England fans are happy that Belichick's son is like a prime member of that organization. Regardless, we are very happy for Shawn and Veronica and wish nothing but health and love to that JJ McVay child and hope for the best. And then it also great news. Brett Maher was released.
I was going to say,
the Rams signed Lucas Harzovic, 24-year-old kicker who was playing backup for Matt Gay. So maybe that's where the connection came from. He's from Riverside, CA, undrafted in 2022, practice squad only guy, which is why they are also having open tryouts. I mean, just call some people from the XFL. I know, people from the Rams organization listen to this because they signed Henderson. So just call the kid from St. Louis on the XFL team. The kid was drilling like 64-yarders. So, I mean, but yeah, Mason Crosby, after spending 16 years with the Packers is trying out. So, yeah, I mean, that would be cool just to have like an old geezer on the squad who, like in his later years, you saw him miss kicks, but then you'd see him make like a 57-yarder to win the game. So he's one of those guys where it's like you want him in your corner no matter what. And, you'd feel better about him than Maher. Maher is probably done realistically in his NFL career. This was kind of his last chance. So Godspeed to wherever you're going, Maher.
Well, Nick, you talked about in the last episode, which I thought was really interesting, was Brett Maher was going to be debuting for the Rams against the Dallas Cowboys, which was the team that he, missed 4 or 5 straight extra points in a playoff game for. So that to me was a mistake on its own. I think it, alleviates some of the pressure for Shawn McVey as he finally becomes a new father. He doesn't have to deal with the stresses of depending on his field goal kicker to make a 50-yard field goal plus or an extra point. But then also, like, you have open tryouts. You're going to bring in an experienced player. You're going to bring in hopefully a Mason Crosby type kicker, somebody with experience, 16 plus years, has made really big kicks in the playoffs, has missed a couple, but still a lot of great years behind him. I think it's really important just because just to be able to alleviate some of the stress, right? I think it's the kick game. You can't be overly reliant on the fact that a 50-yard field goal is always going to be made. So hopefully some of the decision making within this game against the Dallas Cowboys, which will be a key that we talk about as we preview the offense, it's getting yourself some more manageable third down situations, which could hopefully propel you into a 4th and short, and then you could extend the drive. Not necessarily a tush push, but a little bit more creativity in 3rd and 4th down situations that can extend drives and get yourself out of a difficult field goal kicker situation. To me, it needed to change. It wasn't a good situation to have Brett Maher back in the building after missing some kicks. So I feel like it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I also think that one thing that the Rams really like to do is kind of get guys that off the couch. Mason Crosby, I don't think he was playing anywhere, right? It's not like he was on the Packers. But then who do we bring in the Super Bowl off the couch, to replace an injured player or during the entire playoff run? And then, they're like a huge, crucial part
Eric
of
Weddle.
that. Yeah, Eric Weddle of that Super Bowl success story. So that I really like. I'm happy that Maher's off the team before we go into Dallas, like I said last week. And yeah, I mean, there's I do think there will be more creativity on 3rd and 4th down, depending where they are on the field. Because I think if they're at like the 30 or 40, they may go for it on like a 4th and 4 or like a 4th and 5 situation. Which at this point I'm open to.
Even when they're in their own territory, right? It's an opportunity, right? If they're on their own 40, their own 45-yard line, they're close to the 50-yard line. It's an opportunity to be able to extend the drive. And Nick, you talked about being a serious team. A serious team in playoff contention doesn't have Brett Maher as their kicker in 2023. So they moved on, and it seems like there's an opportunity for multiple kickers to be able to pave their way and hopefully win some games for the Rams coming up. And then also the trade deadline. So this is one other thing we wanted to talk about real quick. This is just a hot take we posted on Twitter in relation to Joe Noteboom or Brian Allen being moved before the deadline. And the deadline is November 1st. So this is going to be something we talk about in future episodes too, obviously leading up to the deadline. But there's potential savings of $1.5 million and $2 million in savings on Noteboom and on Allen. So it's all dependent on the move that you want to make. I feel like the Washington Commanders could be an unbelievable partner. And then that player that we have circled is Chase Young. So Chase Young, to me, could potentially be the next Jalen Ramsey for this team, another foundational piece, another weight-bearing wall that you could, hopefully pay the remainder of his contract and then extend him another 4 years, give him a contract into his second deal to where he could be a piece that Aaron Donald can rely on, to where this unit needs a pass rusher. And we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys in a second. You need to be able to get after the passer, and Aaron Donald is at his very best. His years continues to get older, as unfortunate as it is. But you need to be able to maximize the opportunities with Aaron Donald on the field as much as possible. And a player of Chase Young's caliber can get the job done. So that is a continued conversation that we will be having.
I also think that, like, if you have Stafford who's on his final legs, let's be real. You have Aaron Donald, you have Cooper Kupp. Even if this is a retooling year, as they want to, describe it and label it as such, I still think, they brought in Ramsey in 2019. Like, now would be a time to bring in Chase Young. So then by the time next year starts, you're fully serious, you're fully ready. I also just believe that they should be making moves more on defense. Like, if they, like, I'm seeing rumors today, nothing but rumors, but like potential reports that they're talking about bringing in Derrick Henry, which if that's another pivotal piece, you better have that offense on the field for 75% of the game, because your defense, because you just can't, the next pivotal piece, and they know this, which is why they had Stafford, Kupp, Donald, and Ramsey as the pillars. Like, they had two defensive players. You can't just bring in Derrick Henry and assume all your defense.
No, that's never going to happen. No, Derrick Henry is not an option for this team. You got to go after a pass rusher. That's the one foundational piece that I feel like they're missing, and Chase Young fits that mold. So, all right, so the Cowboys. All right, so here we go. We got this is an unbelievable injury report for the Dallas Cowboys. All right. So it's Nathan Van Der Esch and Trayvon Diggs and CJ Goodwin are all on the IR currently. But coming off of a bye, this team is as healthy as possible. It's Yanwei Thomas, safety, has a hamstring injury, and he was a full participant in Thursday's practice. So absolutely no injuries to deal with outside of the few names that we named. A couple of big names in Trayvon Diggs and Leighton Van Der Esch, but all injuries that aren't a surprise. Cowboys have expected it, have made replacements in-house. And I think that they're perfectly fine to be able to handle this game. So coming off of a bye, they're 4-2 as they prepare for the Rams in their home stadium. So like you mentioned, Nick, earlier on in this episode, week 10, we get 2 divisional games back-to-back coming off of a bye in Seattle at home and Arizona away. And this team gets us coming off of a bye after we had to deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off of a bye. It's aggravating. But then you talk about Dak Prescott and how aggravating is he? Somebody that frequently likes to check down, in the words of Steve Smith, a jag, just a guy. Nick, what is your opinion of Dak Prescott? Because we essentially did the same thing with Kenny Pickett last week. And obviously this is a little bit of a different player that we're dealing with here.
I think Dak is on the higher echelon, and I think he gets a lot of hate because he's a Dallas Cowboy, truly. I believe he's kind of like he hovers around that area that Goff hovers around, where it's like, yeah, you can win a Super Bowl with this guy. Like, you're going to need like big playmakers, but I mean, the same can be said with Stafford. Like, I would group them in the same the same echelon. Stafford probably higher than the other two, but still, I 91.0 passer rating right now, higher than Stafford. 7 yards per attempt, same as Stafford. Probably can beat you a little more with his legs than Stafford can. 6 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. The interceptions were bad last year, but I think I think he's taking strides, and he also has an amazing defense. So
that's another thing. He has an incredible defense. The defense, statistically, they're playing really well, I think. But when it comes to Dak and facing no pressure, like, that's one of the things that I think is working really well in his favor. He's got a really solid offensive line. He's got a lot of good pieces around him. So I think the Jared Goff comparison is very, very valid, and it will always be made considering they were in the same draft class. Although we always put Jared a tier above. Don't ever forget. But
remember when people said it was Wentz, Dak, Goff, and I was like,
of course,
hold on there, old sport.
Yeah, 2017 and Carson Wentz's MVP year, but now it's obviously Goff over Dak and Stafford above all. But Dak's only taken 14 sacks, and he's only been pressured on 30% of his dropbacks so far. So if you get some pressure on Dak, and you know that he's capable of rushing through his progressions, you know that he's capable of checking down. And the Rams' defense is only allowing a 58% completion percentage against quarterbacks this season. I personally like this matchup. I personally like the Rams' defensive line and young secondary to be able to get after Dak Prescott and to be able to make plays and force turnovers. I feel like the defense is due. I feel like the opportunities are presenting themselves. They're just not executing, very similar to the offensive side of the ball. And they're going to be really close. If not, they're going to have a couple of turnovers on their hands because of Dak Prescott's inability to work through his progressions quickly and get rid of the ball when the pressure's in his face. It's just going to be a matter of generating that pressure.
Right. I like, all the things that we don't like about the Rams defense. It's like they give up 3rd and long. Like, there's not enough pressure to the quarterback. Like, we don't really have like great linebackers. Nobody's really getting pressure outside like the front four. I think it is a good matchup because if you can get Dak frazzled, then the defense has a real opportunity to, turn the ball over in a position that's really beneficial for us. Because, and I think that's how you win the game. Honestly, I think getting Dak in heat and worrying about his progressions and like rushing the ball out, like you said, feels like the key to victory. And I also think that there's totally a, Bill Simmons, whatever you want to call it, Ewing theory. Nobody believes in us right now in this Rams team against the Cowboys. And I think most people are just putting the Cowboys in this parlay and they're like, yeah, they're obviously going to win. It's the Rams, but it's a really good spot, especially in Dallas. I think like 98% of the handle has to be on the Cowboys, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, they're due. I think they're due to win a game as underdog because they lost games as underdogs against the Bengals? They were an underdog against the 49ers, against the Eagles, right? It's like these are all games that they're technically going in as underdogs, right? It's not often that they're a favorite. They were 3-point favorites against the Pittsburgh Steelers and lost that game, but all the other 3 games, it was bad line, right? And we identified that. But those other 3 games, like, that's difficult. I think when it comes to Dak too, like, you have to be able to bring pressure just because he hasn't seen it a ton this year, right? Just for the sake of being able to get up in his face, increase the blitz rate, and be able to generate pressure and get the defensive line going. But their offensive line, it's one of my favorite units in the entire league. Like the Smith brothers, Tyron Smith and Tyler Smith, they're not actually brothers, but Tyron Smith is one of the most underrated left tackles in the league. I don't know why he doesn't get more credit, probably because he hasn't been on the field consistently enough over the past couple of years, but still one of the best left tackles in the league. Tyler Smith is playing really well as a left guard. He's playing really well in terms of clearing space in the run game. His run grades are really high. It's Tyler Bediaz, the center, and their right tackle, Terrence Steele, that I feel like if there's any weakness, it's going to be right up the middle, which would be Aaron Donald, and then right around the right side, which potentially Byron Young or Michael Hoyt. And Zach Martin, their right guard, is an all-pro caliber player. So Dak's going to be well protected. It's a matter of him being able to get the ball out to his weapons, his pass catchers, whatever the hell you want to call them. I mean, CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup, like it's definitely an interesting threesome. It's more so of the fact that CeeDee Lamb is stealing a majority of the targets, but they very clearly want to get Michael Gallup involved. They want to clearly get Brandon Cooks involved. How do you consistently keep Tony Pollard involved in the pass game? They have 2 younger tight ends and then a rookie tight end that they're developing. So a couple of moving pieces for this offense in a year where they're moving off of Kellen Moore. So a lot of the play direction, play design lacks creativity. It's Mike McCarthy-esque. It's run heavy. It's get under center. It's play action. And it's try to just be able to beat your receiver or your defensive back, rather, one-on-one. There's not a ton within this offense that's going to blow you away. Not a ton of explosives. They're just consistent with their pass catchers. CeeDee Lamb, 6 receptions per game, roughly 80 yards. He's the leading target getter. Michael Gallup is next, 3 receptions per game. Tony Pollard, second on the team in receptions, 5 receptions per game, 30 yards per. Like none of this is going to blow you away.
No. So, I don't think so at all, honestly. And like the most recent game they had against the Chargers, another LA team, they like a lot of it is just Dak being comfortable and hitting one of those guys across the middle. Yeah. Like that's the whole game. It feels like that's where he's going to beat you, and a little help from the refs because it is Dallas. But still, like, I mean, it's not flashy. It's Mike McCarthy. It's boring. It's consistently running the ball like pretty well with Pollard. So yeah, I mean, they're not going to beat you with creativity, and I feel like we have to play to our strengths here, particularly on offense. Like their defense, which we'll get into, is lights out. So we have to be the more creative team, and we have to generate pressure. I think those are if you wanted to make Nick's keys to victory, those would be 1 and 2.
Yeah, and it's also like you talked about Dak's quick passing game. It's going to be something that we're going to have to flip on the defense's head. So we'll transition over the defense too, because I feel like we talked about Kellen Moore departure. We talked about Mike McCarthy. I think the Rams offense statistically is far better. They're generating more total yards. They're scoring more points. I'm confident, maybe not scoring more points in total, but they're generating more total yards in terms of pass and run. So I'm confident in the offense to be able to put up some numbers here, and I'm confident in the Rams' offense, rather, to put up some numbers. They're not the Cowboys. In terms of the defense, I'm going to caveat everything by saying that the Arizona Cardinals scored 0 points against the Rams defense in the second half. They had 400 total yards, 0 turnovers, and they were 2 for 2 in the red zone and had 20 first downs against this unbelievable Cowboys defense. So believe what you want. If you think that the Rams can't win this game, just go back and watch the Arizona Cardinals play 4 quarters against this vaunted Cowboys defense. They're interesting to watch. Their focus is 100% going to be on their pass rush always. It's going to be Micah Parsons and Dante Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong and DeMarcus Lawrence. 132 pressures so far. 6 games, 132 pressures.
Wow.
That
You know what's fun? Like, I was reading up on this. Offensive numbers are down like hugely this year And we're seeing the return of some just like remarkable defenses. And one of the two that was highlighted was Dallas. Do you want to try and guess the number one?
The Browns.
Correct. Good guess.
Browns are good this year. You were right.
Yeah,
I mean they're if their focus is their pass rush, so 132 pressures, 16 sacks, 19 quarterback hits so far this season, faces off against the Rams' offensive line that has allowed 100 pressures, 12 sacks, and 19 quarterback hits this season, which is a pressure rate of 45%. So that's 14 pressures allowed per game for the Rams. The Cowboys are generating 22 pressures per game. So if Stafford drops back to throw 30 times, he's pressured on 76% of his dropbacks. They blitz at 35.7%, which is seventh most. Stafford has an 80.5 quarterback rating when he's facing a 5-man rush compared to an 82.3 rating in total when he's just facing a 4-man rush, a 5-man rush, or whatever it may be. So I'm confident in Matthew Stafford to dice up a defense when they're consistently bringing pressure. It's just a matter of us being able to execute the quick game. Like it's the Rams have an opportunity. They could do it in the run game, right? Like against the run, they have an opportunity. They'll be able to get into the second levels. But when it comes to the pass game and the quick pass game specifically, they have a slot corner in Jordan Lewis. Like you have to be able to force your linebackers to cover. Jordan Lewis is very, very highly rated in terms of receivers ratings against him. Like you have to be able to force the linebackers in coverage. You have to be able to get after Jordan Lewis in the slot, get under center, get back to your jet sweeps, your heavier personnel. I think the kind of looks that threaten the punch in the mouth that develop into potentially a huge play action backside screen for 25 yards. Like that is the identity and the mindset that they need to have that we've been talking about for years. You know what I mean? Like they have that in their repertoire. They have it in their back pocket. So being able to execute that, I think is really important.
Dare I say, Darrell Henderson has looked like the best quarterback the Rams have against the blitz all season, which the Cowboys like to bring. So,
Wait, so you Darrell Henderson against the blitz? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So as a running back?
Yeah.
His grade is the best against the blitz so far?
No, I'm just saying from what I saw, I don't know if that's true. I'm saying he's good at like blocking against the blitz. He's a good blocking running back as well.
Yeah, he is. He is very much so. I think you have to be able to do that. To be able to stay on the field, you have to be able to do that. Like that's an opportunity if they can get into the second levels. Damon Clark and Marquise Bell, like they're not great linebackers. One of them's replacing Leighton Vander Esch, but I like the combination of Freeman and Henderson to be able to get the same type of work against this defense and be just as productive.
Agreed.
In the same roles. I'd like to see them more as pass catchers. In pass protection, I think they're really solid. Both of them, because they're a little bit bigger, they're stronger, they're lower to the ground. So I'm confident in them to be able to stay on the field in that regard. And the Cowboys, so points per game, 16.7, fourth best. Third down defense, 35.1%, sixth best. Red zone rate, 53.3 as a touchdown rate. It's 16th best. So they have to be able to take advantage of some of these opportunities.
You have to turn the ball over. I think you have to turn the ball over probably twice, at least once in this game to win.
Yeah, I would agree. Right? Because like the Rams are going to face a cornerback duo. If you're going to be overly reliant on Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, they're going to face a cornerback duo that Duran Bland and Stephon Gilmore, they're both playing extremely well right now. Like Gilmore has allowed 2 touchdowns this season. Bland is playing out of his mind. Those 3 interceptions and 7 pass breakups. Though all wide receivers currently have the lowest rating against him in the entire league. They are going to be tasked, those two, with 2 very dynamic receivers in Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. You think with Trayvon Diggs out, we're going to get ours on whoever is opposite of Stephon Gilmore, but like a lot of their success right now as cornerbacks are coming from how well their pass rush is playing and how well and how quickly they get after the quarterback. They're beneficiaries of that, very much so. But if we could alleviate some of that pressure, get the quick passing game going, and continue to put the stress on those 2 cornerbacks and the back end of their defense, that's where we're going to be able to break open some explosives and break open some quick game opportunities. So
yeah, and I think there's a real opportunity for Tyler Higbee to make a real impact in this game. Honestly. Yeah, just based on the Jordan Lewis and kind of how he is. He'll be in the slot. So I
You
feel
could
like,
rotate. I mean, yeah, you can go Tyler Higbee, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Tutu Atwell as a rotation in the slot and just take advantage of
yeah.
whoever it is that they want to put there, right? It's just a mismatch nightmare for two players that are playing really well on the outside for one that's playing as poorly as he is on the inside. I think it's just you have to be able to take advantage.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that kind of feels like that is the keys, really. Dean's keys. I mean, I feel like you have them laid out here. So why don't you give everybody your keys?
Yeah, I mean it's the quick pass game. It's the third down play calling. It's being able to get yourself within those third down play calling situations in more favorable fourth down situations. Because I think to me, like when you're in third down and you're in 3rd and 7, you don't necessarily have to draw up a play that gets you 10 yards. You know, you
No,
don't have to draw up an explosive. You could
that
draw up a 5-yard play and get yourself in 4th and 2, and then draw up another 4 or 5-yard play to be able to execute and continuously move the chains and extend the time of possession and be able to kind of keep away. It's not that hard of a concept.
it honestly felt like you lifted a weight off my chest there when you said that, because that's something I hadn't realized until right now, because it's so true. It's like 3rd and 5 right now.
Yeah,
And you're
Stafford doesn't have to be an empty.
Yeah, Stafford doesn't have to be an empty, and you
You
don't
could
have to
get
throw it. It's
you could
15 to
you,
25 yards right now, bro.
you could get Stafford under center with 2 split running backs. You can get Stafford under center with a single back. You could run some of the jet motion stuff. You could run a play action rollout. There's a lot of things that you could do. You don't have to run everything out of pistol and everything out of empty. So I think just some of the situational play calling has to get a little bit better, but you could see them flip the script very easily. I think
Yeah.
they can get a 2-for-1 or even they just put themselves in a better opportunity before the half, just because they're able to extend a drive and put some points on the board and then hopefully get the ball back. It's
You're
just
getting to the
they're
midway
moving them
point
out.
of the season too, and it's like your offense is what it is, and if you don't change it now, it's not going to change. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and you're seeing it's not working. It's not working enough, truly. Regardless of who you ever want to blame the outcome on, last week the refs or Brett Maher, you put yourself in position to win that game multiple times, and you floundered and you lost it. So
Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to, not when you put yourself in the position and you look back on it, make the decision fast. So I'm happy that they did that. Another decision that I feel like the Rams made awfully fast, and a player that we're going to see on the field plenty is Brandon Cooks.
yeah, probably too fast with him, because he kind of went on to have like a 4th piece of his career right now, especially now with Dallas on like a true competing team. Like he was the star of those Houston games back when he was on the Texans, when they were like the worst team in the league. I think it's just great just to see Brandon Cooks like actually contributing on like a legitimate contender. It's really cool. I was a big fan of him, the Archer.
It seems like the Tutu Atwell replacement is finally coming to life. But before Tutu gained steam and was catching touchdown passes, it felt like Brandon Cooks was never going to be replaced. But it's very clear the impact he had on this franchise and the type of player that he was and how he opened up the offense to a different dimension that Shawn McVey had never been a part of before. So to be able to have that piece of history there, I think is really interesting. And then the very last piece, shout out Dante Fowler. We'll see you on Sunday. You're wearing the wrong jersey, but we very much appreciate your services in the 2018 divisional round game.
I'm so happy you pulled that picture up, because I wanted to comment on it. That was the greatest jersey matchup of all time, in my opinion. Like the historic Rams colors in the Coliseum versus Dallas in their silver. I mean, that, like, it doesn't get better than that. So I really hope we're either rocking, and I feel like we must be, bone or modern throwbacks against Dallas, who's in like blue or like dark blue and silver combo, because I think our blue against this classic Dallas, beautiful jerseys is going to look so busy and trashy, but like at least bone and modern throwbacks are what they are, and they're not exclusively or like excessively busy and just too much. So just an amazing jersey matchup. That's all, potentially.
Right. Nikki loves a good uniform matchup, and I do too. I think that the classic old school Rams uniform where they were wearing the helmet that's sitting right behind me with the old jerseys and the classic
dark
white
blue.
Dallas Cowboys getup is the best you could possibly get.
Yeah, I agree. I could not agree more. I love that dark Rams helmet, and I love the the silver blue Dallas Cowboys helmet. It's just classic. It's amazing.
I do also. I think I'm ready for everybody's favorite time of the week.
Really?
I think I am, yeah.
What time is that?
I think it's time for Nick's picks. Time for we got a song or something queued up?
No.
Don't worry, I got you. One more time.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite part of the pod.
I forgot I had a mustache in that picture, and here I am again. I think that was Movember. This is Halloween focused, but whatever. All right, Nick's picks week 8, right? Are we in week 8? Is it already week 8?
Week 8.
God.
I have your picks from week 9 of last year still on my docket, so like we're almost all the way back.
Wow, how about that? Yeah, Nick's picks week 8. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Getting Gut Punched by Sports Gambling. I mean, Nick's picks. Last week was brutal, but here we are. We're feeling pretty solid, and we got everything that we need for you. And I'm happy to say we will be bringing a new theme song, despite the rumors of the songs being no more. I got the blues, Dean. YouTube keeps taking copyright hits on these Nick's picks themes. What gives, huh? I mean, do you copyright Weird Al for his amazing song parodies? And I'm not comparing myself to the GOAT of joke songwriting, but I am. I looked into it. I saw why they were taking those ones down and not others. So hopefully we have no more problems. But if we do, maybe we have to say goodbye to the songs forever. But until then, Dean, let's hear the new song. You know you can't fade me forever. I didn't sign up for DraftKings. I'm not a gambler for your friends to run with. This Nick's too old to be placing parlays.
I don't know. They're better every week. They get better every single week. That might be the best one ever. The thing about it is, though, like, how is that not going to get striked for copyright?
What do you mean? Nothing about it. I completely changed every word. There's no way it should. And it's also the karaoke version. It's not the actual backing vocals and real version of the song. So I feel like there's no way it should be taken down. I personally got Elton's approval. Elton said it was fine. So YouTube, do not smite me. Do you remember what your lock was last week? Because I couldn't figure it out.
I feel like I think it was Rams to cover and win.
Oh,
yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Should have taken Darrell Henderson anytime.
Yeah, you're probably right. I should have. You're right. After all the talk about him.
And you picked him up in fantasy. So you took that from me. I wanted
this week I'm going to call Dak Prescott to throw an interception as a lock.
All right. That's probably minus 110. Maybe. No. It's probably plus 170, I would say. So still, good value. Good value. All right. On to next picks. Here we go. First pick. Vikings at Packers. This game is a pick 'em. Huh? It's a pick 'em. Huh? I mean, if you're a smart gambler, you don't bet on teams. You bet on lines. Good thing we're not smart gamblers, though. Dean, make this make sense to me. Vikings have a better defense, a better QB, a better coach, better weapons. Everything is better. And they just beat the Niners, who are supposed to be the class of the NFC. And the Packers just lost to the Broncos, the worst team in the AFC. I mean, so the argument for the Packers would be they're home. It's a divisional game. And that's it. I don't know what other argument you have. I just don't see how the Vikings lose this one. I feel like the refs are going to do everything they can to rig this one. It just feels like the refs are going to help Jordan Love drive down the field late. with phantom PI calls like they did in that Lions game Monday night. Either way, I don't care. I'm rolling with the Vikings. Also, the under, because after week 7, divisional game unders hit at an extremely high rate. So let's run with under 41.5, and then Vikings, just Vikings by themselves, 20-21. I think the Vikings win it, even though the refs do everything they can to give Jordan Love another home win.
I like the score prediction. You're right at 41, and you're right under. Yeah, I can see Jordan Love Jordan Love's due for a late game comeback.
No, he's
for
not.
the sake of the Green Bay Packers narrative and the national crowd, but maybe not. Everybody loves Kirk Cousins right now and Kirk O'Chains, so go Vikings.
It's just like the public money isn't in yet, so we don't know. But it's just, I feel like I guarantee the Vikings are going to have like 80% of the money, and the NFL is going to be like, oh, too many people bet on the Vikings.
Could be right. Could be right.
But I don't care. I'm taking the Vikings. Jets at Giants, a.k.a. North Jersey versus New York City. Bing bong. New York sports are so cursed. If it wasn't for Eli Manning, what would they even have? I mean, seriously. Can we just make the Jets the North Jersey Jets and strip their New York name already? They're not New York's team. They're North Jersey and like Staten Island's team sometimes. This game is cursed, but we kind of love running into cursed tire fires at Nick's Picks. I think after it's all said and done, the Jets are going to be in the picture in the season for a while the Giants will probably fade into mediocrity. Jets offense, how about this team? Jets offense, averaging 1.5 touchdowns a game. Giants offense, averaging 1.1. Like, come on. The under is the lowest that we've seen it all season at 36.5, and that's all I'm going to take. Yep, we're not betting any spreads, nothing like that. Just under 36.5 because that's the only thing that makes sense in this game. I also kind of want to bet that a safety occurs in this game. Final score will be a scoregami, I think, 11-5. 2 safeties by both teams. It's something bananas out of this world is going to happen in this game, and I can't wait to watch it.
It could. Definitely could. Scoregami and 2 safeties.
Yeah.
And the under.
And
deal.
Yeah, deal.
What's next?
Moving on. Falcons at Titans. If you're like me, you have 25 more gray hairs from betting on the Falcons last week. Desmond Ridder, 2 end zone fumbles at the 1-yard line. Still managed to win the game, but, bro, Ridder, he's just not it. And he will get devoured by this Titans defense. And then the Titans will go 3 and out. And then he will get regurgitated, and he will be devoured a second time. Vrabel off a bye is one of the most impressive coaches off a bye. It's like him and Andy Reid have the best record. Arthur Smith, what's his name? Arthur Smith, thank you, billionaire son. You know, he's got a great mustache, but that's not enough. The Falcon, everybody in that NFC North is hot garbage. If you put the Titans in that division, they would look like the best team by far. Regardless of what's up with Tannehill, I'm taking Titans. Just Titans straight up. I like them a lot. 31-19. I'm taking the Titans. You know what? Nah. Give me Titans. Titans plus 2.5, just in case. I think they win. Titans win outright, but I'm going to take the points as the official pick. Maybe sprinkle a little money line action. You know, a little sprinkle of sprinkles on my Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you say.
Run it back. Vikings money line. Huh? Under 41.5 in Vikings Packers. Under 36.5 in Jets Giants. Titans plus 2.5. And then my quick pick, I'm going to do Niners minus 3.5 over the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals are real. And I like Darnold more than Purdy. And what a perfect time for Darnold to come out during Halloween, seeing ghosts. I think he's going to be busting some ghosts this year. Call him Dan Aykroyd. Call him Bill Murray. Call him Harold Ramis. And I forget the name of the last one. I'm sorry.
I don't either. I don't remember it. All I know is that Sam Darnold for the San Francisco 49ers, does he have a real chance to take them further than Brock Purdy does? Regardless, it's a horrible way to end the podcast. And if the 49ers win by 3.5, without Brock Purdy, without Deebo Samuel, without maybe whatever his name is, Trent Williams at left tackle. What are we going to do?
Ernie Hudson.
There you go. Way to tie a bow on a great episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. We greatly appreciate you guys always.
Please, guys, like and subscribe. I need it. I'm sorry. I love doing this. I know Dean loves doing this. We love doing it for you. We love doing it for ourselves. We hope that this thing takes off. It's only year 7. Seriously though, I appreciate everybody that made it this far. Thanks for listening. Dean, thanks for a great episode.
We appreciate you guys. Go Rams. Beat Dallas.